What's good, everyone? It's RFG back at it today, and I'm gonna be talking about Cleopatra the seventh in particular. Okay, the queen we all know, you know what I'm saying, who was the ruler of Kemet back during the Ptolemaic dynasties. Okay, the one that they made all the movies about and the TV shows and everything. Okay, this is the Cleopatra I'm gonna be discussing today and just my opinion and my whole take on all the information that's coming about her and her overall character and what she really stood for. Now, I was able to stumble upon her actual natal chart. This information, okay, came out of the libraries of Alexandria, the ones that they have present in Alexandria, Egypt. Okay, this is also where Cleopatra was born, in Alexandria, Egypt, January 13th, 69 BCE, 2:08 a.m. Okay, so according to this information that is here in this natal chart, it definitely explains why she got the attention, the fame, and the whole rap, you know what I'm saying, that she did all throughout history. Okay, now for starters, Cleopatra here, it says she was born on January 13th. So right off the bat, January 13th is something known as Uranus energy in Capricorn. Okay, anybody born on the 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st of the month, that is what you call Uranus energy, which gives the person a small portion of Aquarius traits. Okay, so she was naturally a Capricorn, a Capricorn by nature, but she had a small portion of Aquarius traits. Okay, so just right off the bat, her being a Capricorn with a small portion of Aquarius traits, she was naturally drawn to positions of power and roles of leadership. She was a naturally mature woman, okay, who was about business, structure, organization, and was very disciplined by nature and was very, very goal oriented and spent a lot of her time, trying to achieve her goals, which had to do with her, climbing into powerful positions, into roles of power and leadership, okay, in the government. If you do your research, the zodiac sign of Capricorn has to do with government power and structure, okay? And that's what this woman was about, gaining more power. And her being born on the 13th gave her those Aquarius characteristics where she could actually become somewhat of a rebel or a humanitarian, every now and again. Okay? So when we add that all together, we're also going to look at this Scorpio ascendant, because her ascendant, it looks like it's in Scorpio. Okay? So if Cleopatra had a Scorpio ascendant, this means that she came off as very assertive, somewhat aggressive. A lot of people may mistake it for domineering, but this was just her overall natural demeanor when you first met her in person. Okay, that's what a Scorpio ascendant symbolizes. Somebody who asserts themselves very easily among other people. Okay, so I mean, everything has a positive side and a negative side. So the positive side of this ascendant would be, okay, Cleopatra, she's very assertive, she's very strong-willed, and she's somewhat of a natural leader, you see, a natural leader. On the negative side, a lot of people can say, She's power hungry. She could be narcissistic, and she could be very obsessive and manipulative with this Scorpio ascendant. Okay, so you have the yin and the yang with every placement in this chart. There's no 100% positive, 100% negative with a placement in somebody's chart. Okay, I want everybody to know and understand that by watching this video. Okay, also in her first house, under her ascendant in her first house, she has the planet Jupiter. That symbol that looks like a 2 mixed with a 4, that is the planet Jupiter. So she had Jupiter in her first house, which definitely helped her with her overall demeanor and her leadership characteristics and her ability to give people a good impression of her intentions when she first met them. Okay, so this means that she had very, very strong impressions that she would give to people, okay, when she first met them in person. I believe Malcolm X had this same exact placement of Jupiter in his first house. Okay, so if you don't believe me, go do your research and look up Malcolm X's natal chart. Malcolm X had Jupiter in his first house as well, which gave him very powerful leadership characteristics and a very powerful overall demeanor, because that's what the first house represents. Our overall brain, our brain structure, our demeanor, our temperament, and how we go about, carrying out our daily activities. That's all seen in the first house. And this also rules the energy that people feel from us when we first meet them. So if these people are feeling this Jupiter energy of God's fortune and, ever-ending expansion, and that whole positive energy of Jupiter coming from us, when people first meet us, they're going to trust us. They're going to believe in us. They're going to like us. They're going to like who we are. Okay? So Cleopatra had Jupiter in her first house, just like Malcolm X did. And this is obviously why, she was such a historical leader, and so much attention and fame, was put on her name. Okay. Also, we have the planet Mercury in her second house. Now, the second house has to do with somebody's material possessions and their financial income and their voice box, their neck, okay, basically their throat chakra, and the material possessions that they possess in this lifetime, in their lifetime. So with Cleopatra having Mercury here, this shows that she was very, very intellectually advanced when it came to acquiring these material possessions. Okay, so she could have used her natural beauty. She could have used her Scorpio ascendant, which gave her, very strong demeanor, very strong-willed, somewhat manipulative, and charming. Okay, if you will, she could have used her charm, her beauty, and her intellect to acquire the material possessions that she acquired in her life. Because the second house rules your material possessions, and the planet Mercury rules intellect. It rules the mind. It rules the intellect of our brain. So it shows that this was being used to a high degree to her for her to acquire the material possessions that she acquired. Okay. Also, if you do your research, Cleopatra had two brothers. She had two brothers that were ruling the same time she was ruling. This is seen in her natal chart because the third house rules our siblings. The third house rules the way we communicate, our ability to communicate through different languages, Also, if you do your research, Cleopatra knew 7 languages. Go do your research. She knew a total of 7 languages. Okay, and I guess it's all proven through documentation at the libraries of Alexandria. So she has Sun and Saturn in her 3rd house of her ability to know different languages and her siblings. So right off the bat, Sun rules government and power. Sun rules power and government figures just like Saturn does. Saturn rules structure, government, discipline, order, certain restrictions. And so when you look at the Sun and Saturn, these are 2 power planets. Okay? When you want to talk about power planets, we're going to look at Pluto, which is the symbol with the head, with the Venus bottom and the 2 wings. Okay, that is Pluto. And right here we have Saturn and the Sun. And right here we have Jupiter. So if you want to talk about 4 power planets, you're going to be talking about the Sun. You're going to be talking about Saturn. You're going to be talking about Pluto. And you're going to be talking about Jupiter. Jupiter, Pluto, Sun, and Saturn are the 4 power planets. So she had 2 power planets in her 3rd house that basically ruled over the energy surrounding her siblings and her ability to communicate through different languages. That is seen in the 3rd house. She had Sun and Saturn there, which shows her siblings had very, very great power in the government. Her siblings held very great power because they were ruling on the throne with her for a certain amount of time. Okay, this is shown by Saturn and Sun in her 3rd house. Also, which I find very interesting, is she had Venus, Cleopatra had Venus in her 4th house. Now, the 4th house is our relationship to our motherland and our relationship to our mother, our motherly figure in our life. So this shows she had a very strong connection to her mother figure in her life. And, you know, this shows if she didn't know her mother, she took quite some time and found it, you know, very important to go after and try to find out who was her real mother, okay, or her mother figure. Okay, I'm under the belief that her mother was actually killed before she became a teenager, before she became, you know, old enough to realize what was going on, you see. And I think that her mother was killed because the Ptolemies were using Cleopatra to rule over different areas of the Middle East and different areas of Africa. They were used basically the same way the elites ruled over America and stole resources from Africa by having Obama be the face of America. You see what I'm saying? They put a black face on white supremacy by having Obama be elected, quote unquote, the first black president. I kind of think that the Ptolemies were using Cleopatra in that same light, in that same way. They were using Cleopatra as a disguise for Greek domination, okay, and Greek supremacy, Roman supremacy, all across the different countries in Africa and in the Middle East. That's what they were using Cleopatra's beauty for, okay, to seduce the masses into believing that Greek rule was the way to go back in that day. And, you know, if you do your research, these archaeologists found the skeleton of Cleopatra's mother. Cleopatra's mother, her name was Tryphena. That is spelled Traephaenas. Tryphena. Yeah, that Tryphena's, but it's really Tryphena. And when they pulled up her tomb, they pulled it up in the country of Turkey. Okay, the city was called Ephesus. Go look up Tryphena's tomb in Ephesus, Turkey. Ephesus, Turkey. And when these archaeologists found Cleopatra's mother's tomb, they noticed that Tryphena had an African skull. Okay, she had a clearly African Nubian skull. And I believe that this was kept out of the limelight on purpose. And, you know, this information was brushed under the rug by organizations like the History Channel and Smithsonian. They're all owned and ran by Zionist Jews. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Okay? Because, you know, it's very obvious that Cleopatra was what we would call a mulatto in this day and age. Her father was the Greek Ptolemy, and her mother was the Nubian queen known as Tryphena. Okay? Also, right here in the 7th house, this is really, really mind-boggling because she has Pluto and Uranus here. 7th house rules our serious relationships and our love life. You know, what energy is going to be around our relationship partners in our life. So right here, Cleopatra had Pluto and Uranus here. Pluto symbolizes death and rebirth. Uranus, the planet below it, symbolizes unexpected disruptions, rebelliousness, okay, and somewhat of revolt. Okay, it rules revolts and unexpected changes, unexpected disruptions. Pluto symbolizes the underworld, things that are hidden, things that are unseen, mysteries. It could also symbolizes, you know, death, murder and death and rebirth. That is what Pluto represents. And it is in her 7th house. Okay? So with Pluto in her 7th house, this describes without a doubt the situation that happened with her and Julius Caesar, because it says that, you know, she had an affair with him, and, you know, he was also the ruler of Rome during that time, and she was seen as a mistress at that time. So that means that that relationship was secret, you know, behind closed doors. And this would explain that, because Pluto rules secrecy. Pluto rules mystery. Pluto rules unseen power. Okay? And it also rules murder. Now, whatever happened between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar during that time, I am a firm believer into thinking that she murdered her. She was murdered by the Roman Empire, or she was forced to commit suicide by allowing that cobra to bite her chest. Okay? And that her death, see, the Pluto symbolizes usually somebody's death. Whatever's in the 8th house and wherever Pluto is symbolizes how somebody is going to leave this dimension. Okay? That is what the 8th house and the planet Pluto represent in our chart. How somebody is going to go about leaving this dimension. Okay? And the stem of that from her chart is coming from her lovers. Her lovers in her 7th and 8th house. Because, yeah, the 8th house rules sex, but just for sex sake. Just sex for sex purposes. 7th house rules love, sex with feelings and emotions. Okay, so she has Pluto here, that is the ruler of the 8th house. And she has Uranus here, which is unexpected disruptions, chaotic events, and, you know, unexpected changes. Neptune is the planet of deceivers and manipulators behind the scenes. Okay, when we look at it on the negative aspect, on the positive aspect of Neptune in her 8th house, this gave her great intuition, powerful spiritual intuition, okay, which connected her to her ancestors in the 4th and the 5th dimensions, okay, because that is a water planet in a water house. The 8th house is a water house. Neptune is a water planet. So Neptune is almost home in the 8th house. So this, like I said, this placement with Neptune in her 8th house gave her powerful and strong intuition. Very hard to cheat and very hard to lie to Cleopatra with her Scorpio ascendant, with Jupiter in her 1st house, and with Neptune in her 8th house. Okay? Very hard to deceive and to lie to this individual we know as Cleopatra. Also, she has Moon in her 9th house of her Sagittarius characteristics. So this shows, by Moon being here, Moon represents our mother figure. Moon represents our mother figure, which shows her mother figure was a traveler. Cleopatra's mother figure was a traveler. Okay, and this is very obvious because her mother Tryphena was from Nubia, but she was seen having a civilization all the way in Turkey. Okay, Cleopatra's mother was a traveler all throughout countries in Africa, all throughout the Middle East, and all throughout Europe. Okay, there was a lot of black queens, melanated queens, traveling throughout Europe. The name Europe comes from Europa, who was an Ethiopian queen. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream and archaeologists who are biased, they cannot cover up this information. Even if they tried, they can't cover it up. Okay, right here it shows in Cleopatra's natal chart that her mother was a great traveler, did a lot of traveling in her life. That is what Moon in the 9th house represents. That means her mother figure held Sagittarian energy by having Moon in Cleopatra's 9th house. Okay? Also, with Venus in Cleopatra's 4th house, 4th house rules the mother figure. This means that Cleopatra's mother Tryphena could have also been a Taurus or a Libra, could have held great physical beauty, okay, because that is what Venus rules, and that is in the house of Cleopatra's, motherly figure, the energy surrounding her mother. When you want to see the energy surrounding somebody's mother and you look in their natal chart, you look at what planets are in their 4th house, and you look at where the moon is located in somebody's house, and you will see the energy surrounding someone's mother figure by looking at their chart. Okay? Also here, we have the south node. We have the south node, which is one of the biggest stargates, or the biggest stargate on this planet, in her 10th house, which shows that her life's purpose and her past life karma was to utilize her power, okay, that she had in the government to help the people, who were in bondage, and to help the people who were in need, which were the true Kemites. And to be honest, I'm not sure if she fulfilled that life's purpose, because the north and the south node hold the same energy as Saturn. Okay? It is what the Creator put our souls back here for, as a test, to test our souls. And by looking at this, I am not sure if Cleopatra passed that test. Okay? Because we got to be honest with each other. We don't know if she was serving the Roman Empire or if she was trying to serve the Nubians and the true melanated Kemites, okay, who are the original people of Egypt. Okay, we do not know Cleopatra's true intentions, what her true intentions were, because none of us knew her on a personal level, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so right here we have Mars, the planet Mars in her 11th house, which shows a lot of people in her friend circle were part of the Egyptian military or part of the Greek and Roman military, because Mars rules masculine activities and warfare and conflict. And the 11th house rules our friend circle, our friends network circle. Okay, so this shows a lot of people in her close-knit friend circle had Mars energy. They could have been Aries people. They could have been born on the 9th. They could have been born on the 18th. They could have been born on the 27th of the month. Or they could have been Aries. Or they could have been involved in the military or sports, masculine sports. These people were around Cleopatra on the daily, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So that really about that about sums up Cleopatra's natal chart. I was shocked and amazed that they still had this information available all the way over there in Alexandria, okay, in those records. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying, this wouldn't even be possible to see, you know, her real natal chart. You see what I'm saying? By them having these exact records of her birth, time, and location, that's the only reason that we even got this information of how the planets and stars were aligned around the earth at the moment of her birth. Okay? Very, very astonishing information. Those particular archaeologists, when they did the work on her tomb and the tomb of her mother, Tryphena, okay, they put together CGI graphics to go together with the bone structure of her skeleton that was found in that tomb. And this was the best that they could do to add flesh and skin color, to add flesh, bone structure, and skin color, skin tone to her appearance. And this is the best that they did. I'm going to get the name, the particular name of those archaeologists, okay, and post that on my Facebook when I get a chance. But I want everybody to go look up the archaeologists that went to Ephesus, Turkey, because that is where the real skeleton of Cleopatra's mother and Cleopatra's sister, her name was Arsinoe, Arsinoe, Arsinoe. That was Cleopatra's sister, and Tryphena was Cleopatra's mother. Both of those skeletons were found in the tombs in Ephesus, Turkey. I want everybody to get the true and real information that has been hidden from us, okay, for thousands of years, okay? This is why I do this, people. This is why I do this, okay? I come here with new and fresh information every day, and I try to make sure that, you know, the people watching my videos, that they learn something new with every video I put out. And you know what I'm saying? With the creator and the ancestors willing, it's gonna continue. It is going to continue. I promise you. Every single one of my videos, you are going to learn something new, fresh and new. Okay? I promise you. It's like I said, the creator put me on this mission for a reason. You know, I was destined to wake up and to reach this journey of enlightenment for a reason. And every day, I have information and ideas pop into my head You know what I'm saying? From the ancestors, from the creator, from whoever. And I think it has to be all by divine intervention and divine order all the way. Okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I appreciate everybody who supports RFG movement and Atlantean movement. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. It's a chosen one, man. I'm out.